mentioned Tank Bigsby. He's back. The talented the young running back, the sophomore, he's back. Hunter, TJ Finley every once in a while looks the part. But when you sit there and watch it on Saturday, as I do when we're in studio, you're thinking, well, it is Auburn. There's got to be Auburn talent. They've got to be able to do something. The way that this has fallen so quickly, it never seemed like a good fit. And I don't want to talk in past tense here because he's still the head coach, but it was, you mentioned the Buffalo to Auburn transition and the Boise to Auburn transition. It's the same thing. Hard.
Did I mention that the guy who hired Harson's already been fired? I guess I should have mentioned that for those who don't.
Already been fired.
Yeah,
already an interim AD.
Yeah,
and
I met the interim yesterday, Matt, and this guy, I give him credit. I mean, he's pumping. He welcomed Auburn. I mean, he made me feel so welcome, and I'm thinking, I hope you get the job. You seem like a nice guy, but let me also let you know, while nobody's listening, you're not picking the next coach.
Yeah.
that happened once. It won't happen again. So, Matt, the question really is, as we turn this page, tomorrow on our show and across the country, if Auburn comes up, it will no longer be, is Bryan Harsin going to survive? The questions are now about who will take his place, and you'll get the usual suspects. I couldn't help but watching the end, as you were, at the end of the Liberty Wake Forest game last night, thinking, by the way, Hugh Freeze would have probably gotten the job last February had they pulled off the coup. He was the guy that they were targeting. He's probably still on a short list. There's interest in Lane, of course. Lane Kiffin is always on a short list. Never seems to move to the top of the list, but he's on the short list. I can't help but think that Mark Stoops wouldn't be on a list because he's going to be on a lot of lists. So that's where the lists start to formulate. But one thing, the next coach at Auburn is going to understand the SEC, unlike Bryan Harsin.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say, and we will move on. Anybody who takes a chance on Hugh Freeze again is, I believe, going to hit a home run. I mean, the image at this point has been rehabilitated. Anyone who does it, and by the way, let's stop acting like some of these other hires with some of these other people. They're all sitting at church this morning doing all the right things. I'm telling you, the first AD that gets out there and says, you know what, Hugh, you've done your time. You've proven you could win at Liberty. You seem to be headed the right direction. Just if you do it again, your career's over. I think Hugh somewhere would be a home run hire, especially back in this league.
I agree with you. A couple of years ago, I was in Oxford, and I went to dinner with him, and he is a very compelling individual, and he went through all the things that brought him to the unemployment line briefly. And I'm gullible, Matt. Had you been there, you would have been nodding your head, going, "What an amazing!" I mean, I'm voting for you, Hugh. Whatever you're selling, that's how good he is. And you think about that. I mean, I love the 2-point conversion. You don't want to go in overtime against mighty Wake Forest. And I mean, this is now about the fourth. He's beaten a couple of ACC teams, and he's almost won every one of these games. That's how. And that's with Liberty talent. Can you imagine Auburn talent? And he knows that. He and Malzahn were very close friends.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.